On today's episode of the Gap Year podcast, we talk with a father-son duo about the Naval Experience Program. And I'm not kidding when I say if I could go back in time, this would be the program I would do on my gap year. So if you have ever considered not knowing what you want to do, if you've ever considered the military, or even if you haven't, this is the episode to take a listen to. This 1 year, no strings attached program is hands down one of the coolest things that not very many people know about. So take a listen for more details.
Welcome to the Gap Year podcast, where we explore the who, what, where, when, and why of gap years. It's real people sharing their stories, ideas, and experts diving deep into how you can make the right decisions in order to have a meaningful gap year. This is the place to be no matter where you are on your gap year journey. I'm Michelle Dittmer, your resident gap year expert. Let's jump right in. Hey there, everyone. My name's Michelle Dittmer, and I am your host and Gap Year expert here on the Gap Year podcast. Today, we are bringing a very fruitful conversation to the table. We are talking with our father-son duo here today. We have, in our primary seat, we have Sailor Third Class Jonathan Bacon and his dad, Chief Petty Officer First Class Doug Bacon. So both of you, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you here. Why don't you give us just a little bit of background on who you are, what are you up to these days, and then we'll dive into a little bit about your experience with the Navy Experience Program and the Navy in general. So maybe we'll start with you, Jonathan.
I was born and raised military brat. Kind of spent majority of my time kind of going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to join. Finally said, you know what, screw it, let's go into it, so I could properly set up my life how I wanted it to be. As for what I'm currently doing, I'm currently on a MARTech course, so Marine Technician.
Amazing. Well, that sounds
Yeah.
really exciting. We're going to dive into some of that decision making, because I know a lot of families kind of are on that fence as well. Kind of military, not military. How do we do this? What is that going to look like? So we'll have a conversation about that in a second. But let's hear from your dad. Who are you, and what are you doing on the podcast today?
All right, so I'm currently one of the Royal Canadian Navy recruiters, the recruiting chief. So I'm out on the road quite a bit, talking about the different programs that we have. I've got almost 34 years in the military. I'm from Southern Ontario, Brantford originally. Done most of my career on the West Coast, and of course, Jonathan's father. So looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah, father, the most important role, of course.
Of course.
So you work as a recruiter, so you did a good job at recruiting your son. You finally got him on the side of joining, which is amazing.
Years.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned, Jonathan, was the idea of kind of deciding to join, to not join, to participate, to not participate. And I know that that's a top of mind for a lot of families. We kind of have those that have that military family like you did and have a
Right.
good understanding of what the military looks like, what's involved in that. But then we also have folks who don't have experience with the military, and maybe parents have a young person that wants to get involved, and are a little bit apprehensive. So I'm curious for both of you, what would you say to families that don't have a background, that are maybe a little bit nervous about the idea of joining, and seeing what that might be like for their family and for their young person?
I don't know how it would have been for past answers, so that would be good on his part. Well, I guess for now it'd be with the NEP program, it would be a good idea to kind of give a grasp of it. If they're not sure about it, again, it's a 1 year program. You can go see what it's like. You can get ideas to what, hey, maybe I want to do this, maybe I don't, but you get an experience, right? If you ultimately don't want to, you can leave. If you want to, you can stay for it. Like,
I love that. Yeah. No, I think, and one of the things that we're going to be really exploring is that program that you were talking about. It's kind of a sampler pack, a trial, a risk-free trial to get in there and give it a go. So maybe Doug, can you speak to that program a little bit and give us an idea of what that might look like for people who are just wanting to give it a test and see what it might be like?
Yeah, so yeah, the program that John's referring to is called the Naval Experience Program. It's relatively new to the Navy, and right now we're the only element that is conducting such a program. So it's been on way since a little over a year, about a year and a half now. What there is people who are curious about the Navy and not quite sure what they'd like to do as maybe employment or just want to see if it fits for them or anything else like that. They can go to the recruit center. They can apply for the Naval Experience Program. Once they enroll, they spend a year. That includes their basic training, which is about 8 months, or sorry, 8 weeks long. Once they graduate, they'll go to the coast of their choice, whether it's the East Coast or West Coast, because that's where the Navy is on one of the two coasts. Once they arrive there, they'll start their program and they'll get a chance to sail on the ship by a bunch of the different naval trades. So they do some of the operator trades, working with radars, communications, technical trades such as the marine technician that John has chosen. Anytime during that program, if they decide that it's not for them, they can request a release. The only thing is if they don't complete the 1 year, they get to pay for their own flight back home. If they complete their full year, they get a chance to either say, yeah, it's not for me in the military, we'll pay for them, send them back home. If they find something they really like to do, they'll get offered a contract in that trade that they prefer, and they get to choose from there what they'd like to do, which is a great program. There's a lot of interest in it, we found, from the recruiting side. And we've got about an 80% retention rate across the board from our first set of graduates in the last 6 months. So it's pretty exciting. Everybody seems to enjoy it for the most part.
That's amazing. And I can definitely say from the gap year space where people are trying to figure out what do they want to do during this time as they're doing that self-exploration, figuring out what they want their life to look like. What are the things that they're looking at exploring? The setup of this program is exactly what a lot of young people need. It provides some structure for people who need that in their lives. It's not just kind of free floating for an entire year. You do get a lot of training and a lot of exposure to a wide variety of careers. So for people who don't know what they want to get into, whether you're dead set on military or not, even just the exposure to all different types of job opportunities, whether you stick with the military or you take that elsewhere, you really can't get that experience anywhere else. And you're building a network of really, really close companions and friends and that become your family. And Jonathan, maybe you can speak a little bit to that. What was it like working alongside all of these different people throughout your time in the Naval Experience Program?
besides the fact of slightly knowing some people being from this coast, it was fantastic for me because it went from me going, okay, this is going to be a little difficult to I can walk in the door and be like, okay, I can go talk to this person. I'll have a fun time here. I can go talk to this person. They know what's up. They'll come assist because it's just how it works. It's not hard to make friends per se there, since you're all working together. You'll find common interests. You'll have time to talk. You'll kind of not fully be forced to, but forced to like work alongside them. So it shouldn't be terribly hard to get what would be considered a family there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And one thing you said fun, which is something that isn't necessarily synonymous with hard work and dedication. So was the experience fun as well?
Oh, it was fantastic for me. Yeah, if we had a little bit of free times, we'd go off and do sports stuff with people. Like we played softball with the NEP program at points. We've gone for hikes. We've gone on little tours. We went on sails. it's not a bad program. I had tons of fun doing it, well
Yeah, I love
alongside
that. So
finding what I
there's
wanted to do.
yeah, so there's free time and there's fun and opportunities for social things. But then when you were on the clock, what types of things were you exposed to? What types of different activities, roles, responsibilities? What did you get involved in on a day-to-day basis when it came to like the work side of things?
When you first get there, you're gonna kind of just be in the office doing some computer classes that you have to get done because they're kind of mandatory. So you can start being put on shifts, put on taskings, like uh, going out for a few weeks, kind of just being able to stay on ship, learn the ropes, kind of learn what the general basis is. Go to maybe, hey, say you want to go to the gun range, you could potentially be a sentry, so you're watching it, or you know, being allowed to, practice shoot the gun, those types of things.
Yeah, so a little bit of everything. Maybe Doug, you can let us know some of the other types of things that folks could get involved in once they're on the Naval Experience Program.
Yeah. So the Naval Experience Program, we have a whole group of sailors and supervisors that help coordinate and arrange it. They'll do tours of the school. They'll get to see some of the equipment and training equipment that's used. They go down to some of our different units, like fleet maintenance facility, and see how repairs or maintenance is coordinated and done. Uh, they get a chance to go out and experience life at sea. They get to go visit another city, whether it's Canadian or US, wherever, normally during the program. They get to try all different facets of life aboard a ship, including standing some watches, what it's like to live in our bunks and use our lockers and interact with the crew. And from the feedback I've got from most people, they find that very interesting, very exciting, especially those who've never been on to sea before and don't really understand what it's about. In addition to that, they do get to work with some of the other elements with the Army and Force. And we have had a few members who we've helped switch over to either Army or Air Force or what we call a purple trade, a CAF general trade. And a few have gone, one's gone officer, et cetera. So we don't limit them just to the naval trades. That's where our intention is. But we're there to help them get some insight into all these different parts of the Canadian Armed Forces and help them make best decisions for that. One of the benefit I found talking to them as well is, unlike when I joined, I wasn't sure what I was signing up for. Where in this particular case, majority of them now have some experience, and like Jonathan, I'm going to use an example. So at one point when he was talking about the military, because he liked computers, he really wanted to be into the IT's part of the Navy, which was the naval communicator. And once he got into the program, he realized that no, it's different. Communicating with your buddies on a computer versus doing it as a job, and show real interest in the technical type trades, which is what he's chosen. So it helped him have, instead of joining them for something and going, oh, this isn't really what I wanted, you got a chance to experience it. So.
Yeah, I think that's so critical. I often talk about a gap year as your risk-free trial on life, where you get to go out and you get to try things out before you commit to them, before you're investing your time and energy and money into any particular direction you might want to take your life. And so the Naval Experience Program is really kind of a buffet saying, here are all of these things that are on the table and options for you, and you don't have to commit to the tofu or the steak or the chicken. You can go out and sample it all and take a little bit in before you actually dive in head first, jump with both feet, whatever analogy you want to use. But you have that opportunity to get some hands-on experience, which I think a lot of people, regardless of what career they're going into, they don't have that opportunity. So this is really, in my opinion, such a brilliant program and a brilliant design for people to dip their toes in a little bit.
Exactly. I know there's been a number of people have joined and realized that joining is something they don't really like, where this helps address that, or at the very least gives them an idea of something they may look at beyond the 1 year if the military is not for them. So they get that experience and background. So
Yeah. I love it. Jonathan, what would you say would be the most challenging part of your experience, and then also the most rewarding? So if you had to balance both sides of that equation, what gave you the what was the biggest obstacle while you were part of the program? And then what was your biggest takeaway from the program?
It's hard to kind of say would be the biggest obstacle because being with around the people you have and the staff you have, they kind of make it relatively easy for you to grasp what's going to happen and what you need to do, right? So in my mind, I'm not really sure what is considered the biggest obstacle I would have had besides basic, but that's not part of the NEP program. Okay, I mean, well, sorry, like what as it technically it is because it's during the year time, but for the way, but what I mean is more so while I got finally to the coast and doing NEP during that time, I couldn't find an obstacle. While I was a basic, I had many obstacles that caught me. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is. I got sick, I got injured. You know, you might be stuck there for a little bit, but as long as you're willing to continue to go through, it's still worth it, you know?
And I think that's a very intimidating thing as well, for a lot of people is this idea of maybe not being successful at the basic training side of things because it is rigorous. So the fact that you had those obstacles and yet were still, number one, given the opportunity to continue despite those obstacles, and then number two, that you took it up and you pushed through and persevered because there was something on the other side of those obstacles that was really valuable for you. I think those are really important things for people to be aware of, that it's not, we're going to kick you out at the first opportunity. This is a place for growth and a supportive environment rather than a cutthroat, let's get you out of here as fast as you can. I think that's really great to hear that you were able to move through that through your experience as well.
Thank you.
And what would you say would be the most rewarding?
Besides the congratulations and that from support from family throughout everything I'm doing, I'd say probably having a good support team to kind of just get me where I want to go and not kind of have it really delayed or something like that or taking too much time to get it dealt with, right? Like, yeah, so sometimes it may take a moment, but like they'll as best of their best as best as their abilities can, they will process it through and get it done for you. So I could look at them going, hey, I want to go do something with these people. They'll start talking to that chain of command and kind of see if they can find a time where you can go over there and start learning what they're doing. Or I'd like to go to Seymour. They'll try and see if there's a sale coming up that they could put you on, maybe like the Orcas, which are like day sales or stuff like that. Like, you know,
Well, it sounds like there's a real team behind you, and that they're there to not only help you figure out your own path, but to provide guidance and provide a path for you, rather than having to be the one out there bushwhacking and trailblazing. There's somebody there that's gone before you and done it, and can be a guide and a support along the way, on this journey along with you. And I see your dad nodding his head. Do you want to
Yeah.
jump in there and share a little bit about that?
Being a young person, finishing school, not really knowing what you want to do, and that can be very scary, overwhelming. And Jonathan and I had a number of talks once he finished school and that as well. I've talked to many other young people in my recruiting. Um, what I can say is, joining the military isn't for everyone, but it is a great career option. It's worked very well for me. There's lots of benefits. Joining the military is kind of a easier way to transition from being that young person at home to starting to learn how to be out on your own. Because although you're going to go away from home and that's a little scary, and you're going to be given all these rules and challenges, which most people find very rewarding once they accomplish these challenges and that. Oh, I'm firing a gun for the first time and I can do this, and oh, I'm actually capable of doing a 5K hike or etc. Right? Of course, they go beyond that, but you don't have to necessarily worry about, oh, I got to find a place to live. I got to worry about my clothing. I got to worry about my meals because that's provided for you. So you can focus on learning or accepting these challenges and learning how to grow from them as you transit through your career. So my advice has been, yeah, it might be scary, but it's kind of an easier transition out of the house than it would be if you just kind of went out on your own. Now you got to worry about, oh, how do I pay my rent and my hydro and this and that, and where the military kind of gives you that guidance and gives you a support system to help you transition through that, right up through until you become qualified, and where you're making enough money, where you're able to support yourself, which is kind of nice in a grand scheme of things.
Well, and
Um,
definitely in a job market the way that it is right now, that ability to become self-sufficient is a goal for a lot of people. And I really want to underscore what you were talking about in terms of agency and realizing that you have potential and you have abilities, and there are ways that you can use those abilities to contribute to something. I think is a big transition, because coming out of high school, somebody's been telling you where to go, what seat to sit in, what book to open your entire life. And sometimes we haven't been challenged in a lot of different ways. And so learning that you have the ability to step into those challenges and to be successful, that ability to have confidence in yourself, I think is a gift that we should be giving to all of our young people so that they are able to be successful moving forward.
of course, yeah, that's one of the most rewarding things is seeing a young person who realizes that they can do something and they achieve something, and that look on their face, you're like, it's something that's hard to explain. It's just really good to see. Yeah.
And Jonathan, would you say that you had that feeling too? You said having those congratulations coming out the other side of it. Did that feel good for you?
It did, because when I first got to basic after going, yeah, I'll join the military, it seemed like something to do. I've had many times that I was going, is this really for me? Does this make sense to me? Can I actually get through it? My dad's experienced it. I've had many talks with him while I was going through it. But over the course of going through, meeting a bunch more people and learning that as much as it seems like a struggle, and sometimes it will be, you have the idea in your head of what needs to get done and you learn from it to be able to gain the experience of, okay, I know what I'm doing now, so I can go through it. Right. So, yeah, there's struggle, but I've grown. I've gone from the kind of younger guy that I was to, okay, kind of feel more like an adult.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge growth opportunity for parents to see that in their kids. Sometimes I get parents saying, "My kid's so young, they're so immature, they're not ready. They're not ready for the real world." And something like this sounds like an opportunity to take that step and to build the skills in order to be able to make that move into adulthood. It sounds like you did a good job with that.
I fully agree to that comment.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so you are a particular type of person. You have a military family background. What would you say would be the ideal person to participate in this program? Is there any qualifications? Is there any personality types? What does that look like? And maybe you could both weigh in on this one and let us know what would a successful candidate, what would they look like?
Someone who's actually caring to try. There isn't really much of like a requirement besides, I would assume, finish high school. I think it's kind of the basis, but other than that, it's just if you're willing to go for it and seems like it's something to do, give it a go. Like there's no specific like, oh, you don't have to be a military family, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be that. Like if you want to do it, it's the door is open for you.
I love that. And I think that willingness to go for it speaks volumes. And it's not a willingness to have all the answers. It's not a willingness to know that you're going to be successful at the end. It's the ability to put in effort and intent behind it, and to show up every day, and put your best foot forward. Doug, do you want to add to that?
No, Jonathan nailed it pretty close there. For this program, the minimum age is 17, of course, with parental consent, 18 without. The education requirements are pretty much our standard requirements across the board. So minimum grade 10 math and English, that kind of level. Uh, and then, yeah, as Jonathan said, really comes down to what's how committed you are, or how much effort you're willing to put forth to get through basic and go through the program. And like most things in life, you usually get out what you put in. So, if you go into something and expect everything to just be handed to you, you're just going to get a not as good of experience as if you actually commit to it and actually challenge yourself. And everybody who I've talked to who has actually decided that, yeah, I really want to put this best effort forward, really enjoy their experience, whether they choose to stay or not. It's been a great experience for them.
I love that. And I know we're in 2025 now, but can we talk for a second about the role of women and non-binary folk in the military? We've got two wonderful folks here, but what does the diversity look like when it comes to folks signing up for the program?
Jonathan, I'll let you start so that way I don't influence any of your comments here, and then I'll jump in afterwards.
Okay. It seems, yeah, there's a bit more guys I've noticed for the NAP, but there's a good fluctuation of females and non-binary people coming in and still kind of giving it's on equal terms, right? They put the same amount of effort to everybody as if it was just, one single like unit or family. That's the concept, right? I see no issues. I haven't heard any issues besides, like some people have their low quarrels, but it's not like staff to anybody. It's just people in general. But other than that, no, there hasn't been any issues that I've noticed for women or non-binary or anybody else coming in for that matter.
Yeah, no. So we in the CAF has worked very hard to treat everybody fairly and equally. Part of our policy is it must be a safe space for everybody, and everybody gets treated the same. That's the only way you can function properly. We have a number of great women in the forces in key leadership positions and all levels. We have people of the LGBTQ plus community throughout the force. Matter of fact, I have a couple on my recruiting team as well. And everybody's very comfortable. There's no issues. We support everybody because what your preferences are or your gender or anything doesn't really matter when it comes to doing the job, right? Or being a member of the forces. We're very inclusive, and it's very important and key to not just somebody like myself, but the senior members of CAF to ensure that the forces are hold up the best standards and allow everybody to be who they are while engaged in the forces. So in the programs like NEP, I've seen everybody from all walks of life, and and everybody's as successful as they want to be. That's the best way to word that, right? So if they really want to be there, they have all the success they want. If at some point it's not for them, or they just decided that maybe really isn't what I want, well then they get to make those decisions as well. It doesn't matter who you are.
I love that. I think that's really important that everybody hears that this is a place for everyone. Regardless of all the different components of your identity, there is opportunity in this space, which is just reassuring for folks that this is on people's radar and that it is a very safe place for folks, which is of utmost importance in today's age, in every age, but especially where we are in 2025. So thank you for weighing in on that. I would love to know, how has the Navy shaped you as a person? So we've got somebody who's got just a few years experience and has seen growth, but what does that growth look like? And then we've got somebody who has 35 plus years of experience. So I'm curious, what does this progression look like? So Jonathan, how has the Navy shaped you?
It's definitely given me more courage and respect to who I am in my own growth, right? It's given me more knowledge to things that if for any reason I end up wanting to leave, I have confidence that I will be able to support myself if I get out, right? Like it's shaped me to sorry. It's shaped me to kind of be able to grasp how to working with big and small large amounts of human people and find workarounds for if there's a problem, we usually can figure out a way to get it dealt with very quickly.
And you would say that that's a big change from who you were coming out of your high school.
Oh, very much so.
Dad, what about you? How has your longer career shaped you as a person?
It's shaped me quite a bit. So I joined straight out of high school as well, many moons ago. And the the type of young person I was at the time to what I had very quickly become and where I am now is two completely different people. Um, for me, throughout my whole career, I've learned and been presented challenges that has helped me to grow both as a leader and as somebody who is confident when interacting with large groups of people, standing up with crowds, talking, um, making educated decisions instead of just knee-jerk decisions, or ensuring that I have a broad spectrum on everything that we're doing, so I can make the best recommendations and decisions moving forward. I've got to work with people all over the world. I've been able to take some of those experience I've had and use them throughout my career to help better how I do the job and ways I can influence within the forces to help improve the forces as well. And of course, understanding how Canada fits into the globe as a whole and what our roles are, and how I perceive our country versus other countries in the world. Where, at one point in time, being young, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Canadian. I'm very proud to be Canadian. I always have been. But having experience to travel the world, I can really put in perspective what Canada is and how great of a country it is in the big scheme of things, and see what places are similar and how we interact with different allies like Australia, New Zealand, the States, and that. And I just got a more of a global perspective and experience into how I interact with the world around me.
All right, so this has clearly had a significant impact on both of your lives, whether it's in the short term or the long term. And I know we have lots of families that are very curious now about this Naval Experience Program. And I would say that if I was to go back and take a gap year, this would be at the top of my list of programs in terms of the challenge, in terms of the exposure and the experience. And in terms of just everything as a whole, I think it's packaged very well. And it would be at the top of my list if I was to go back and do it all over again. So if we have listeners who are a little bit more curious, want to learn a bit more about the program, where can they find more information? Who should they be in touch with? What might that look like?
Yeah, for listeners who are interested in the program or just the force as a whole, so they can go to the forces.gc.ca website. And in that website, there's a number of places they can navigate, look at trades, look at options, look at the programs we have. Of course, my team and I know the recruiting group and the other elements are always out on the road doing recruiting at universities, colleges, job fairs. So feel free to walk up to one of them and ask questions. Even if you see somebody, one of the people in the uniform in the airport, you can go up and ask questions, and they should be able to help you get to any site or provide any information you're looking for. But if for general, the best place for most people to go will be the forces.gc.ca website, and they can start from there.
Amazing. And we will link to all of that in the show notes, so folks can navigate there quickly and easily, and make sure that they have access to the information that they need. So this has been a wonderful conversation. I want to thank you both for joining today. It's been such a pleasure to learn from you, and a big thank you for sharing your story with our audience today.
Oh,
Amazing.
thank you.
So, all of my friends who are listening, I am so excited to bring this conversation to you, and I can't wait to share more stories coming up with you very soon. So, my friends, until next time, keep on adventuring. Take care.